I never imagined I'd be here, standing at the edge of the life I thought I knew, about to make a decision that could shatter everything I've built. If you'd asked me a week ago, I would have told you that my marriage was as solid as it gets. But here I am, staring at the wreckage of what I thought was a perfect life, and it all started with one phone call. It was late when the message came in. My phone vibrated on the nightstand, disturbing the peaceful silence of the evening. I was already in bed, reading a book, but something about the message's sudden arrival made my heart race before I even looked at it. It was from an unknown number, but it wasn't the sender that unsettled me, it was the content. "I'm so sorry you had to find out this way. He's not the man you think he is. I'm the one he truly loves. You deserve to know the truth. Please don't hate me for what I'm about to tell you. He's been living a double life. I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending." The words hit me like a ton of bricks. They didn't make sense at first, and then, when they did, they made my world crumble. How could this be happening? My husband, the man I thought I knew, had been living some kind of secret life? It wasn't the first time I had felt something was off. He had been distant, distracted, and absent more often lately, but I never imagined something like this. The sender didn't identify themselves. There was no name, no further context, just this cryptic message. But the words were clear. The doubt that had been festering inside me exploded into a full-blown storm. I wasn't just suspicious anymore. I was certain. I called him immediately, heart pounding in my chest, my hands trembling as I dialed his number. It rang and rang before he finally answered. His voice, always warm and reassuring, came through the line. "Hey, babe, what's up?" I could hardly speak. How could I ask him, without sounding insane, if he was having an affair? How could I tell him I had just received a message saying everything I had believed about our marriage was a lie? "Where are you?" I finally managed to ask, my voice barely above a whisper. "What are you doing?" He hesitated for a second, a strange pause that made my heart skip. "I'm at the chalet." "You?" "No, the place we've been talking about going to for a while." I felt a cold chill run through me. A chalet. He had told me so many times that he had to work late, that he had a business trip to attend, but he had never once mentioned a weekend getaway, a hidden retreat, a place I had never heard about before. A sudden wave of suspicion hit me. I had to know. Had to. "I'm coming," I said, before I could stop myself. There was no question in my mind now. I wasn't going to wait for him to come home and explain. I was going to see for myself. The drive felt endless. The mountain roads wound through dense trees, the night growing darker as I drove farther from the city. I knew exactly where he was. We talked about it before. A quiet mountain retreat far from the world, a place he'd always said he wanted to take me. But I never imagined I'd be arriving here under these circumstances. As I neared the chalet, my breath grew shallow. There were no lights visible through the windows, no signs of life except for the faint glow of the car parked outside. He hadn't seen me yet. My hand shook on the wheel as I parked just down the road, hidden from view, praying he wouldn't see me. I waited and waited. My heart raced as the minutes dragged on. What was I hoping for? Some miraculous moment where everything would suddenly make sense, where I could confront him, and everything would fall back into place. No, the truth was far less kind. The truth was that I had to face the reality that everything I had built with him was built on a foundation of lies. I finally stepped out of the car and made my way to the front door of the chalet. I was nervous, But more than that, I was angry. I wanted to confront him, to demand the answers that were owed to me. But I knew that there was a chance I wasn't going to like the answers. I wasn't sure if I was ready for whatever this was about to reveal. I reached for the door handle, my fingers cold against the metal, and turned it gently. It was unlocked. He had left the door unlocked for me, or for someone else. I pushed it open, slowly, taking in the empty, quiet space. The warmth from the fire and the hearth filled the room, but there was something off about the stillness. I could feel the tension in the air, thick and heavy as though the room itself was holding its breath. And then I saw them. They were sitting together on the couch, too close, too familiar. His hand was resting on her shoulder as she leaned in to speak to him, her face soft and welcoming, a quiet laugh escaping her lips. And as my eyes scanned the scene, I froze. She was beautiful, far more beautiful than I had ever been. Her long hair, her flawless skin, the way she looked at him with such affection. I could see the way he responded to her, that look in his eyes that was so different from the way he ever looked at me. My breath caught in my throat as I stood there, hidden in the doorway, watching them. And then I heard her speak. The words were soft at first, as if they were meant only for him. But they were loud enough for me to hear, and the words cut deeper than anything I had expected. "I've missed you, my love," she said, her voice like silk, smooth and affectionate. "It's been too long. I just want to be with you. I want us to finally be together, no more secrets." Her words hit me like a slap to the face. I wanted to scream, to run up to them and tear this woman away from my husband. How dare she? How dare she sit there in front of me claiming him while I had been home, raising our kids, believing in our marriage? But there was something worse than the rage that boiled inside me, the complete numbness that followed. I couldn't process it, couldn't believe it. And then Jason, my husband, looked up and his eyes met mine. For a moment, we just stared at each other. His face went pale, his mouth opening and closing, like he was trying to find words that wouldn't come. His eyes were filled with a mixture of shock, guilt, and what? Regret, fear. But before he could speak, she turned around. She saw me standing there, and the look she gave me wasn't one of surprise. It wasn't one of guilt or even shame. It was the look of someone who knew exactly who I was and wasn't afraid of me. "Oh, you must be his wife," she said with a smile, as if I was just another inconvenience in her perfect little world. "I've heard so much about you." I couldn't breathe. My chest felt like it was caving in. I thought I might fall to the floor. I wanted to yell, to demand answers, to make him admit everything, but I couldn't find the words. All I could do was stand there, staring at the woman who had so casually inserted herself into my life, into my marriage, and destroyed it with one simple look. "You must be the true love," I said quietly, the words coming out of my mouth before I could stop. Them. The bitterness in my voice startled even me. Jason stood up quickly, his hands raised in defense. "Anna, this is not what you think. Let me explain. Please, just let me explain." I couldn't take it anymore. My vision blurred with tears. "Explain," I repeated, my voice breaking. "You think I need an explanation? You've been lying to me, Jason. You've been living a double life with her, and now you want me to listen to your explanations." She stood up too, and I could see the way she touched his arm possessively, her fingers trailing over his skin like they were already entwined in something I didn't belong to. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't even uncomfortable. She just stood there, watching me, daring me to confront her. "Maybe you've known for a while, Anna," she said softly. "But we've been seeing each other for over a year now, and I'm not going anywhere. Jason is mine. I'm the one he loves. We've been planning a future together." And just like that, the final piece fell into place. This wasn't some casual affair. This was a full-blown relationship. He hadn't just strayed. He had fallen in love with her. And from the way she spoke, he wasn't coming back to me. My heart broke into 1,000 pieces. Everything I had believed in, everything I had built with, Jason was a lie. How could I have been so blind? How could I have missed the signs? And now, standing there in that room, surrounded by strangers, by this woman who had taken everything from me, I realized that I was no longer part of the life I thought I knew. Everything was gone. Everything was broken. And now I had to decide what comes next. I stood there for a few moments, unable to move, unable to process the storm of emotions that were crashing through me. Jason was looking at me, his eyes filled with regret, but the more I looked at him, the more I realized that regret wasn't enough. Regret couldn't undo the hurt. It couldn't undo the betrayal. It couldn't fix what he had destroyed. The woman, Sophie, as she had introduced herself, stood there too, almost daring me to confront her. There was no apology in her eyes, no shame, just a strange sense of calm, like she had already won. Maybe she had. After all, she had the one thing I wanted most, my husband's love. It felt like a knife to the chest. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't some fleeting affair. This was real. This was something that had been happening behind my back, something Jason had been nurturing for months, perhaps even longer. It felt like the floor beneath me had cracked wide open, and I was falling into an abyss, unable to pull myself out. I could barely look at him. The anger inside me was so sharp, so raw, that I felt like I might explode. My hands were shaking. My breath was coming in short bursts. And in the silence that followed, I felt something worse than the rage. I felt empty. The trust one had placed in him, the man I thought I knew, had shattered into 1,000 pieces. "Is this how it ends, Jason?" I finally whispered, barely able to find the words. "With me standing here watching you with her, realizing that everything I thought I knew was a lie." Jason opened his mouth, but no words came out at first. He seemed frozen, unsure of how to respond. He took a tentative step toward me, but I stepped back, not wanting him near me, not wanting to feel the proximity of a man who had just broken everything. "I never wanted to hurt you, Anna," he said, his voice hoarse. "I don't want this to end. I don't want to lose you. Please, please let me explain. I made a mistake, a huge mistake, a mistake," I repeated, my voice rising. "No, Jason, this isn't a mistake. A mistake is accidentally knocking over a glass. This is a betrayal. You've been living a whole second life with her, lying to me, making me think everything was okay. You've been planning a future with her while I was here, in our life, believing in our marriage." Sophie shifted uncomfortably next to him, her eyes glancing between us as if waiting for something. I wasn't sure if she was expecting me to break down, or if she wanted me to scream at her, but I couldn't give her that satisfaction. What she had with Jason wasn't mine to ruin anymore. The only person who could fix this was me. "Anna, please, just listen to me," Jason continued, stepping closer. "I never meant for any of this to happen. I never meant for you to find out like this, but you've got to understand something. I love you. I do love you. You're my family, my life. I don't want to lose that. But I got caught up in something I couldn't control. I didn't know how to get out. I didn't say anything. I just stared at him, the coldness inside me growing with each word he spoke. He was trying so hard, I could see that. But no matter how hard he tried, I couldn't hear him. How could I hear him when everything he said felt like more lies? How could I believe him when his actions spoke so much louder than his words? Sophie finally spoke up. Jason, we've been through this. She's not going to understand. She's too blind to see what's right in front of her. Her voice was smooth, confident, almost dismissive. It made my blood boil. Don't, I snapped, turning toward her. This isn't about you. It's about him. It's about what he's done to me. She smirked, crossing her arms. Please, don't make this harder than it needs to be. He's already made his choice. And it's not you, Anna. I felt like the wind had been knocked out of me. I had imagined this moment 1,000 times. What I would say, how I would react, how I would finally get my answers. But now that I was here, standing in front of the woman who had taken my husband, I realized that words couldn't undo what had been done. No matter what I said, no matter how I screamed or cried, it wouldn't change the fact that Jason had chosen her, and I couldn't force him to choose me again. I don't need to hear any more from you, I said to Sophie, my voice cutting through the tension in the air. This isn't your fight. This is between me and him. Sophie didn't respond. She simply turned on her heel and walked out of the room, leaving Jason and me alone for the first time since everything had come crashing down. I couldn't bring myself to look at him, to face the man I had trusted for so long. I could feel his eyes on me, but I refused to meet them. Anna, please, Jason started again, his voice filled with panic. I never wanted any of this to happen. I know I've messed up. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I need you to understand that I never stopped loving you. I closed my eyes, shaking my head. I couldn't look at him anymore. I couldn't hear his voice. You don't love me, Jason, I whispered, the words tasting bitter. You don't love me if you could do this to me. You don't love me if you could hide a second life, a second family from me. He reached for me, but I took a step back, my body tense with the need for distance. No, I said, firmly. I don't need your explanations. I don't need you to tell me that everything's going to be okay, because it's not. It can't be. The room felt suffocating as I stood there, my heart pounding in my chest, the weight of the decision ahead of me pressing down harder than I could bear. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I could ever move past this, if I could ever forgive him. You shattered me, Jason, I said quietly, the words barely audible. You've broken everything, and I don't know if I can pick up the pieces. I'll do whatever it takes, he pleaded, his voice cracking. I'll leave her. I'll end it all. I'll make it right. Please, just don't leave me. I'll do anything. I closed my eyes again, the tears I'd been holding back finally falling. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that he could fix this, but I knew deep down that the trust had been shattered. The foundation of everything we had built was cracked, and no amount of apologies could glue it back together. I can't do this, I whispered, stepping away from him. I can't keep pretending like everything's fine. I don't know what to do, Jason. I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't know if we can ever go back to what we were. Jason stood there in silence, his face filled with sorrow and regret, but I could see the hopelessness in his eyes. He knew, deep down, that he had lost me, and the weight of it crushed him. I need time, I said, my voice steady but broken. I need to figure out what's best for me. I need space to think. I don't know what the future holds, but I can't make a decision right now. Not yet. He nodded, tears streaming down his face, but he didn't try to stop me. I walked out of the room, and as I closed the door behind me, I could hear him call my name one last time. But I didn't turn back. I couldn't.